Hello and welcome everybody. I know it's been over a year, but welcome back to MOPETE Interviews. This round of MOPETE Interviews, we got a very special guest, none other than the fabulous, the buttery, the talented SuperButterBuns.
Hello, hello, hello.
Buns, it is a great honor to have you on the show. Big thanks for coming on. You want to tell the audience a little something about yourself in case, they're like the 5% of the internet that doesn't know about you?
I wish it was 5% who didn't know about me. Yeah, sure. My name is SuperButterBuns. I am a YouTuber. I am most known for a series called For Beginners, where I take a video game and I essentially break it down from the reception to the story to the gameplay, basically just a rundown of the whole game while giving useful information for basically anyone who is new to the game, while trying to be funny in the process. And they normally have a lot of high energy, a lot of jokes, a lot of talking, and that's mostly what I'm known for. But I do other things. I do game reviews. I talk about older games that may have not gotten a lot of recognition at the time and talk about the faults as to why that was. And I also stream on Twitch on top of that, but that's like more because I'm a YouTuber. Like, it's not like I'm separate and stuff on all that. But yeah, I also stream games, and yeah, that's essentially it. I'm just a loudmouth on the internet that talks about video games, and I try to be funny. So that's essentially it. Yeah,
some spicy memes come from fun stuff, guys.
Yeah, a lot of stolen jokes. A lot of vines.
Right. So at nearly 500,000 subscribers at the time of this interview, your channel has grown pretty successful over the years, Buns. What would you say is the biggest contributor to your success right now?
Well, I'm not particularly sure as to like how I got popular, just by being in, YouTube's favor, I guess, because like there are very talented people that are like smaller than I am. But I guess for me personally, I started the channel when I was 19, and I had a real passion for video games and video editing because I went to school for video editing, and I wanted to get better at my craft and stuff. So I started my gaming channel. And for me, I feel like it was just a combination of constantly trying to improve my content with each video and then talking about stuff that I really liked. I tried to avoid chasing trends for a little while, or at least in the beginning stages of my content. I didn't talk about, the hottest, latest game. I talked about Kingdom Hearts, which, Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't even like really, in public view at the time. It was still considered kind of, smaller, and there wasn't really a lot happening in the community. Persona, I also talked about that because I really love that. And that was also kind of like nothing was really going on at the time. There was no like hot buzz or topic really. I just talked about those games because I liked them. And it seems like that resonated with people. And I continued to just keep talking about the things that I enjoyed and tried to make my videos funnier with better quality. And, I spent a lot of time taking in feedback and seeing how I could spin that, or I don't know. I'm not really sure. I guess like just the fact that I kept trying. And I think that's like something that a lot of people, when it comes to YouTube success, my success was not overnight. I've been doing this since 2015. I've been doing it for 4 years now. So my growth has been very gradual over the years. And I think a lot of people don't realize when it comes to YouTube is that for the most part, most people will not become an instant success overnight. And it does take a lot of work. And, your first few videos will get, 10 views for a few months.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep promoting yourself, and some people get lucky and some people don't. And, and a YouTube, for the most part, is a combination of hard work and luck. And I feel like I've been incredibly lucky just based off of, like some of my videos just randomly get popular, or they get noticed by someone who's more popular than I am and got shared. And then on top of that, I feel like, the reason they got shared is because I continue to put effort into making them better. And, now here I am with getting close to 500,000, and it's kind of very surreal because it has been such a gradual climb, and I've slowly adjusted to the size, and it's still pretty crazy. So like, yeah, I can't say there was like one thing that like what made me successful. It wasn't easy. And I definitely learned a lot going through this entire process, and, getting harsh feedback sometimes from people.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like, I didn't give up. And, even when it wasn't making a lot of money and I wasn't even in it for the money, I was just doing it because I liked it. And I just kept trying to expand and get better and, not try to chase trends. I think that was a big thing with me because, a lot of people feel like that if they want to be successful, they have to talk about the most relevant thing right away.
Oh, no.
And there really is a kind of like, a very, I wouldn't say profitable, but like a very active gaming aspect of YouTube that really just likes to, reminisce on old things or talk about stuff just because they can. They don't really have to be making a point. One of my favorite videos on YouTube is like this 6-hour long Dark Souls commentary by Matthew Matosis.
Yeah, I love it
where
too.
he just Yeah, it's fantastic. And he's not even making a point with that video. It's not like titled like the issue with Dark Souls or anything. It's just 6 hours of him talking through the game, being like, I think this is cool. The devs did this because of this reason and stuff. And it's like, just indulging and having fun instead of trying to, be the first one on top of stuff. Because at that point it gets exhausting and you're trying to like fight through all the noise of everybody else. And sometimes like the best way to get noticed is to just go off and, blow bubbles in a corner somewhere and maybe somebody will notice. So, yeah, I feel like that's definitely it. I think just staying true to like what I like, people know that I'm being genuine about something when I talk about it. So, I wouldn't say that works for everybody. There are some people who are really great at staying on top of current things. But for me, definitely, if you want to have slower content or like, more thought out content, go for some older stuff. It doesn't have to be the most popular thing. Someone out there will like it, so that's just, I guess that's it. That's how I would say is my success.
There it is, kids.
Worked out.
Hard work, luck, talent, and talk about old stuff.
And eating your vegetables. Yeah. And not sleeping.
Yeah.
So.
Fried chicken's a vegetable, right?
Yeah. Fried chicken, gummy bears, Mountain Dew, Doritos. Those are all vegetables. Essential food groups, really.
Delicious and nutritious.
Uh-huh.
So speaking of your channel, one of the most critically acclaimed aspects of it is the community itself. Tell me, how did you come to build such a diverse, special community?
I'm not sure. And I feel like, because I cover a wide variety of games, mostly JRPGs, mind you, but, I've talked about BioShock and Dark Souls and, the Jack series and platformers and all that kind of stuff. So I can't particularly say it's like the game I'm talking about. I think the humor aspect of it, I try really hard to make my content family friendly. And, by doing so, I have to go with a lot of universal humor. And a lot of universal humor is like slapstick, or
Right.
It's loud noises and just goofiness in general. And I think that, everyone's kind of got like that child, like hee hee, haha, pee pee poo poo jokes.
Yeah.
Like everyone secretly kind of likes those. And I feel like the humor has kind of drawn a lot of people from a lot of, different parts of life or different, gaming interests to my content. And I've got a lot of people who say like, even if it's a game they don't know about or don't care about, they watch it because it's funny. And I feel like that's definitely contributed to bringing in new people and, because humor, for the most part, is pretty universal. So, yeah, I've met some interesting folks and stuff. And a lot of people I'm surprised like my content, like people who creators, I would guess would be into more like serious things like my content, which always shocks me. But then I realize like everybody, everyone likes to laugh, right?
Right.
Unless, if you don't, you're kind of weird. But yeah, so I would guess it's really just the humor part. And I've tried really hard to become, I wouldn't say become more funny, because like I feel like I've just gotten better at translating my humor into a video. I've always been kind of described as a class clown for a lot of people. And when I first started making YouTube, I was very awkward and I was very uncomfortable with my own voice. And, I realized that I shouldn't be so kind of embarrassed that I kind of have like a weirder sounding voice. And I realized that it does kind of play into, I can use it to be more funny and more comedic.
More unique.
And yeah, exactly. So instead of just, being like, talking video game, blah, 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 I started to ham it up more. And then I feel like I hammed it too hard for about 2 years. And then I started pulling it back to how I kind of actually talk. But yeah, it seems like my voice specifically has really helped out, just, make it stand out. And people, I guess, are just drawn to it. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard making jokes for like kind of everybody. And like, I know there's like a lot of comedy videos out there that I'm like, like it's not my type of funny. And I get that with a lot of people as well, that like my comedy is not for them. But it seems to be working because I have a pretty varied audience. Yeah. And it's pretty spectacular. Like when I meet people in real life. And so, like when I met you and stuff, I was like, oh, hot dang. It's great seeing everybody in person. And what I really appreciate is the fact that I'm very proud of my audience. I know a lot of content creators who, I don't think there's anything particularly wrong, like catering to children or a certain demographic and stuff, if that's what your MO is. But I like the fact that I can talk to my audience like adults and and I can, tell them what's going on and befriend a lot of them in a lot of cases and stuff because they're my age. And like, that makes me happy. Like, it would suck that if I was putting stuff out there that I thought was really cool that like, only people my age would get, and then nothing but like 5-year-olds are like really into it. Because I feel like I'm misstepping. But my content resonates with children and adults. I've had families come up and thank me for making content that they can watch together. And I think that stuff like makes me really, really happy. It's just knowing that I, for the most part, have successfully made family-friendly content. And I'm okay with being pegged as a family-friendly channel for the most part, except on my streams. I don't recommend people go watch my streams. Yeah. But my YouTube content. That's Buns After Dark. That's
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I try to have a little bit of everything, and I would, I like the fact that it kind of resonates with everybody.
Yeah.
So.
I like the little noise you put when like something drops in your video, like the
the bass boost. Yeah. It's cheap, but it's an impact sound, and like
it works.
It works. Yeah, exactly. And like, well, I mean, the whole reason why I've had to go with more family friendly content is because my mother, she found my channel in its early stages, and I cursed in the early stages of my video because I'm not against crude humor, you know, like I'm pretty vulgar most of the time, but I kind of defaulted for my normal comedy, and then my mom found my channel. It's like, yeah, you can't do that. So then I was kind of forced to kind of reevaluate where I wanted to take the channel. And in hindsight, my mom was pretty on the money, because then like 2 years later, they implemented the demonetization system where if you curse too much, they'll, take ads away from your video. And I completely got out of that scot-free because I had already adjusted to a family-friendly, standard. And that's definitely helped my community just be, pretty awesome people for the most part.
Yeah, it's the luck you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So you partly answered this before. What do you think is the most challenging part of content creating?
Definitely the most challenging part of content creating is the scheduling part of it, and the public pressure that kind of comes with it. When you're kind of like your own boss, and you have complete creative control over what you do, you have all the responsibility as well. And for me, I've never really been a very structured person. I'm kind of like all over the place and stuff. I'm 90% sure I have ADHD, but I just never gotten diagnosed with it. But yeah, staying on schedule for me is very hard, or just staying with one thing for a long time and just trying to motivate yourself to talk about stuff if you're like feeling down, because it is a very creatively stressful process to constantly trying to pump out stuff and have interesting things to say and good jokes, and it can become very tiring. And for me, just having to stay on task for 8 hours a day and stuff, to just constantly be on as a YouTuber, because I don't think people realize is like once you are a content creator, you're never not doing your job. It's a full-time thing, and people want to know every aspect of your life, and that you gotta constantly be playing new stuff and just keeping on it, and you'll get recognized in public a lot, and worse, people try to dox you or something like that, something terrifying, but you're in the public view. And adjusting to just kind of the criticism and the volume, and how if you make wrong mistake, tiny mistakes, or have a bad opinion on a video game, like can be damaging and very life-changing to some people.
It's magnified.
It can get really scary and stuff. So it's a combination of just having the motivation to be your own boss and stay on task, and essentially, make most of your life productive. And then the fact that you're working technically 15 hours a day because you're always doing something related to YouTube.
Right.
And then just knowing that if you messed up something tiny, you're gonna feel it for, almost basically the rest of your life. So you gotta be really careful what you put out there. So yeah, I would guess that's definitely it. But I mean, content creating is very rewarding, and I wouldn't have any other job, honestly, because I'm such a control freak. Because I'm an editor, and if I would not doing YouTube, I would be in video editing. But the reason why I stuck with YouTube and I wanted it to succeed was just because I wanted to have creative freedom, and I didn't want to be a glorified button pusher. So I'll take it. I'll take the downsides. It's kind of worth it. But yeah, it's really just maintaining and checking yourself before you post things, and just making sure you don't screw up, basically. Because people will notice. People will notice when you're not being genuine, or you get some basic information wrong or something like that. You will definitely know when you mess up. So you gotta be really cautious with yourself.
And how do you stay motivated to initiate, like you said?
Oh boy. lot of soul searching, a lot of long walks, like, you know, listen to music and stuff, and trying to get like back with the passion. Because I won't lie, like it's very easy to get kind of demotivated when it comes to talking about certain things. Because like you sometimes feel like what you have to say isn't particularly insightful enough or isn't good enough, and like, why bother? It's a lot of like going back and forth on that, or at least for me personally, because like, you know, for me, I feel like the most important part is upload with purpose. And if I'm not into it, if I'm not really feeling it, or like if something I don't really want to talk about, I won't. And I know that kind of frustrates some of my audience a little bit, that I don't upload nearly as much as I could, you know, if I kind of just talked on a whim about everything that came out, or, you know, just kind of went down like a list of stuff I was, you know, supposed to talk about. But for me, it really is like, if I don't feel invested into it, I won't talk about it or make anything about it. And I can get frustrated with myself sometimes, because I'm like, you should be more excited about this. Why aren't you making more videos, or, you know, talking about stuff more? But yeah, I wouldn't really say I have a method of like trying to keep motivation. Mainly just like, you got to do this. You got people looking up to you, and, you know, you gotta do what they are. You know, I have my Patreons and stuff. I don't want to let them down. And
yeah,
you know, you have a lot of people that, you know, view you as an entertainer, and it's my job to entertain. So it's like, you gotta get with it. Dang it.
Yeah, I mean, you entertain in spades, though. I'll give you that.
Thank you.
So with all the good games that have been coming out and that have been announced at this point in time, would you say we're entering a new golden age of gaming?
I would like to say yes, just because weirdly enough, I think the fact that gaming consoles have gotten so powerful, and, you know, PCs are like much cheaper now, that, you know, realistic games, everyone's kind of like tired of like realism and like realistic graphics. Like, most people aren't impressed that a game looks good most of it, you know, nowadays. And I think because of that, it's kind of forced devs to get a little more creative with how they, you know, go about their artistic styles. On top of that, trying to make more interesting game mechanics, because, you know, presentation isn't impressing people anymore. They got to get more creative. And I think games like, you know, pivotal games like Dark Souls, I think kind of showed that there is always going to be a market for like weirder ideas. And I feel like, the currently, like, the library of games that you can play, it's pretty overwhelming how many good games there are, and like how many good games come out consistently, especially like 2017 and this year. Like, Japan just keeps like pumping out these amazing, varied titles.
Yeah.
And I think the variety is really just like pretty awesome. I also think the Switch is a huge contributor to this, is the fact that it's not a very powerful console, so it makes people to get more creative with, I guess, artistic styles, you know, more cel-shaded stuff, more 2D things, you know, just it makes them want to experiment more, because like now you don't have to spend, you know, half the budget on making the game, you know, look photorealistic, because we just don't care anymore if it looks that way.
Right.
Not to mention like just the amount of money that's going through the gaming industry with like esports and all that kind of stuff. Like it didn't take games very long to overtake Hollywood when it comes to just how much money goes through it. And, you know, considering how accessible everything is now, with like how cheap stuff is, with like Steam, you can buy some of the best games ever for like $5. It's pretty crazy. And a part of me is like worried. That's like, okay, if we're in the golden age now, like, are we on the verge of like a crash again, like in the 80s? And because there are so many games that are coming out nowadays, for me, even it's my job to play them, I can't even keep up. And I know a bunch of other people can't even keep up with all the games that are coming out. So like, I wonder if we're gonna come to a point where it's like there's just too many, and, you know, like the market's so spread thin because like everyone's off in like 8 directions and stuff.
Well, in theory, that would help you out, because you have more retrospectives to do, because a lot more games will fall through the cracks.
Exactly. Yeah, considering like the last few years, like the PS4 generation and stuff, I mean, like it started off a little rough, but it's definitely peaked, I think, you know, with all the you know, the remasters. I think, weirdly enough, I'm kind of I'm for those, just so that they can great games can still be played, you know, 20 years later, and can be enjoyed, and you know, newer generations of gamers can, you know, experience like what made the gaming industry great in the first place. And I think that's important. So yeah, I would definitely say so. You know, everything's cheaper, easier, you know, funner, in some cases more intuitive. So it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. I just wish
Literally.
people would calm down when a game is just fine and not a masterpiece. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's like lately, it seems like we've gotten to the point where games are so good now.
It's
And
becoming
we're so
the standard.
spoiled for choice. Yeah, it's becoming like this, like everyone demands that every single game be some revolutionary, groundbreaking thing. And when it's not, it's like, it's like trash, garbage. Like our taste is so refined. Anything that doesn't like meet this weird high standard is immediately discarded as just unplayable.
I think a good
Which I
example
think
of it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, like Kingdom Hearts.
I was gonna say Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy 15, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and again, it's okay. Most games have problems and stuff, but I think it's gotten to the point where things are just so good now that when we see an issue or something that's for most people can notice right away. It's like, ugh, like what is this doing? It's like it's like getting a big raisin in your salad or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like this isn't what I ordered. Like, waiter.
Yeah.
So like that's just kind of that's the view I get nowadays, because it's like, yeah, we're spoiled. I think gamers are spoiled to an extent, because like I see people complaining about the tiniest things, and it's like, come on, y'all. It's like these are amazing fun games out there, and so the frame rate dips once throughout your entire playthrough.
Nope.
It's like unplayable. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword. But like, if you look at the games for what they are and realize that they're really cool, and they're really varied, and you can basically play anything you want now with really low costs, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cutting edge, I might even say.
Yeah.
So it's no secret that you're a Persona fan. I'd even wager to say you helped put the series on the map here in the US. Tell me, what is your favorite Persona game right now?
Oh, that's a toughie, because I feel like I don't think I've ever stated specifically what is my favorite. I kind of go in between, 4 and 5, just because I think 4 has a better story than 5, but I like 5's gameplay more. So I'm always stuck between those two. But considering I've like basically shilled P5 to so many people, I'm gonna have to say P5 just because like I love the aesthetics of that game so much.
Wow.
And it's a little weird to see how Persona 5, mind you, Persona was not a very popular series. It literally just became popular, or at least noticeable in the mainstream, because Joker's in Smash and, it was at the Game Awards and stuff. So I was just really into Persona before, P5 came out. I got into the series in 2012, and Persona 4 was my first. And then I played 3, and then, I was really excited for 5. So I immediately made my Persona 5 for beginners on it, and that video was my most popular video, which to my shock is pretty nuts. And I don't want to say it's yes, I am the reason Persona 5 got popular, because obviously it was a good game. I think the merit alone made it popular, but because it is such a big series and it's got a big number on it, and I'm sure some people it's just some anime game. I hope that my video actually explained to people then that this is something you should try, and it is, you can play it right away. You don't have to know any other games and stuff to get into it. So yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's kind of neat that essentially if you know Persona 5, you know some of the jokes in there, and I've seen people quote my videos all the time, just talking about Persona in general and stuff. So I think that's really neat that it's like this Persona cultural meme to watch that video. So yeah, it's pretty neat. But
yeah.
When it comes to my favorite though, it's just, yeah, I'm stuck. I've never really been one to have absolute favorites. My interests change all the time depending on what I care about. And I do love 3, 4, and 5. I think I like Persona 3 a lot. I really enjoy the story. I think the pacing in that game is a little whack, where it's it's really long, but not a lot happens in between most of the
there's
stuff,
a lot of dead air in that game.
There is a lot of dead air, and I feel like it could have been trimmed a little bit, because only the interesting things happen in the beginning and end of the month, and really nothing in between. And I think 4 and 5 fixed that issue, where it's okay, so between the beginning and end of the dungeons and the months and stuff, we're gonna have little segments where the main characters do stuff. And I do love the themes and the dungeons and the gameplay of Persona 5, but I think Persona 4 does the friend group thing the best. And it kind of set the standard of what we kind of expect when it comes to the cast of characters and how they interact with each other. Yeah, so when I reviewed Persona 5 originally, when it did come out, everyone was like, it's the best game ever, it's the best game ever, it's the best Persona ever and stuff. And I was I was like, no, I think it's good. I think it's a contender for the best Persona and stuff, but it's really up to preference because I know some people who absolutely adore P3. There's a lot of P2 fans out there that really want me to play Persona 2, and I know it's a good game. So like, I wouldn't say it's the best, but like, I just really teeter between the two. But 5 definitely hits me on a personal level because I do think it was a big moment for my channel, just talking about the series in general. So it's always gonna have a special place in my heart. Also, I love the color red, so biased.
So you heard it here first, folks. Buns' favorite Persona game is Persona 5.
It is Persona 5.
But,
I'm a sheep.
Yeah. Your opinion, though, isn't wrong because of that. You just go ahead and distinguish that, since you already did, but I'll do it too. Kind of put on your hipster glasses there. I played Persona before it was cool. So I've been hearing rumors from a semi-reliable source, aka the internet, that you've been dating a certain artist. Can you confirm or deny?
I can indeed confirm that. I got a soft spot for Milk Girl at twitter.com.net. Please go follow her. Sherry's my girlfriend, and we've been dating for over a year and a half now, and she's been tremendous, lovely, and just like has really made my, I guess you could say, like, completed like my life in a weird way. Like, that sounds really sappy, but like, she supports my passions. She gets the channel. She helps me with the channel. She's done a lot of art for me and stuff because she's a very talented artist. And, she's had her own following on Twitter. And most people don't know that we actually just met on Twitter because like I saw a picture of her through like a mutual of mine. And I was like, oh, hey, what's up? And I didn't think she was going to like me at all. But apparently we hit it off pretty early and stuff. So we were long distance for a long time. She lived in Massachusetts. I lived in Virginia, so it was like a 500-mile, long distance relationship, which was kind of manageable compared to like, some other people I know who like live in different countries.
Still a big test relationship to be long distance.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge test. Long distance is very difficult. We just moved in with each other, about 3 weeks ago. She finally, the reason why we were apart is because she was finishing up school, and obviously, like, we don't want to take her away from that. And so she graduated, and she's moved in with me, and we're going to be living here for a little bit, and then we're probably going to end up moving to Massachusetts together. So it's like, we got the whole life plan figured out. But yeah, long distance or just dealing with that on top of YouTube, on top of all that was really difficult, but it was worth it. And, we ended up making it through it, and we were very honest, and we tried to see each other as much as we could, and we definitely prioritized seeing each other. And, and I feel like that was an important decision for me to make and stuff, even if it meant that I couldn't, be as productive on the YouTube side of things. But everyone was very understanding about that. And I'm glad they were and stuff, because now we live together. So now I can actually like focus on YouTube and like, not have to constantly be like, okay, when we gotta see each other, like how much is it gonna cost and stuff. So we're both very relieved to finally like being able to just enjoy our lives and work together and, focus on just, making that cash money so we can have a nice life, I guess. All
right. Once again, you heard it here first, YouTube. Buns X Milk Girl. The thing.
Hell yeah. Please ship us. Please make fan art. It's cute. I appreciate it.
Keep it PG, though, folks.
Yep. Yeah.
So I gotta ask the relationship questions since you're already explaining this. Who's the better gamer?
Oh, that's a great question. It depends what we're playing. Sherry's much better at Smash than I am. She'll kick my ass. Same with Splatoon. Basically, like any Nintendo game, she's really good. And then like anything that like she's not familiar with, like I completely like stomp her. But like I think we're pretty talented together and stuff. We're pretty like gamer dream team. She can go pro MLG whenever she wants. So
Hear that, folks? Get you a gamer girl.
Honestly, they're the best, the absolute best, the cream of the crop.
So who's the better cook then?
Oh, Sherry. Oh, by a mile. I can heat up meat. I can make steak and pasta, and she can make everything else. So it works out.
So this interview's been all you so far, obviously. Do you have any questions or comments for me?
Yeah. How'd you get into gaming? I guess where did it all begin?
Oh, where did it all begin indeed? I was a simple lad. I grew up with a PlayStation 2 that my dad brought home. And my very first game was Jak and Daxter.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, never even got past the first little like area back then. I was just happy to explore a game that had the cool day and night cycle. I thought that was just awesome, just futuristic at its time. I also grew up playing Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonist. You probably heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, I never got past like the first 2 or 3 levels. because it was a rental from Hollywood Video. Flashback, right?
Oh
Hollywood.
yeah, I rented out Jack and Daxter once.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we got their week. We rent it out, and then we return it on Sunday. I never get past second level. And soon enough, I saved enough of my allowance, and I bought it. And I just kept saving up my allowance and kept buying games and kept trying them. And now, look at me. I have 3 PlayStations now. A Switch, a Nintendo DS, and a YouTube channel and a Twitch channel. So
it's
fun.
a slippery slope.
It's a real slippery slope, gamers.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty nuts how much a lot of gamers can essentially, like, as children they'll play a game and they're absolutely terrible at it, or they'll just replay the same levels over and over and over again, like, because they're stuck. Because I did that a lot with Kingdom Hearts.
But we'll have an absolute blast doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, you'll essentially replay the same level for like 2 years. You know? And then like you'd be like, oh wow, this is so interesting, and you love it and stuff, and then you look back and like, you know, you think as a kid, like, this is so difficult, like, what the heck do I do? And then you're an adult, and then you're like, it just says like, go here, talk to this person, and you're like, oh yeah, I was just stupid.
Yeah, young me was stupid. I literally beat the entire Jack and Daxter game 100% in all in an afternoon.
Wow, that's impressive. I've never been able to actually 100% that game. I'm so bad with collectathons. That's why I like 2 and 3 better, because it's like more, you know, like story focused and stuff. But yeah, no, I can't imagine actually doing that as a kid though, because it's like, you're like, you know, you don't know what the hell you're doing and stuff. There's like colors. Yeah. There's a bird. This animal's talking to me. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a moving storybook almost.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, how'd you find the channel? I've always been curious how people actually like managed to like get into it and stuff. What was the kicker? You know?
Oh, the very first SuperButternbuns video that I watched, SuperButterBuns, I'm sorry, was Overwatch for beginners. I looked up Overwatch. My friends were all trying to get me to play it, and I was like, I'll check it out and see what's up. And the first video that popped up was Overwatch for beginners. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. This is a beginner's guide. I click on it, and yeah, it is a beginner's guide, but there was also memes. And they were hilarious memes.
That's surprising, and oh my god, wow! I mean, like, real talk, Overwatch for beginners, my opinion, is where my content started being kind of good. So I'm glad you found it there. Yeah, yeah. There's still stuff in there I'm pretty happy with. It's weird how that video has like not aged super well, but it's like it still kind of holds up, because I tried to be very careful not to mention specifics too much, because I knew they were going to change. Like, I would be like, this character does like 50 damage per shot or something like that, you know, because those things get altered all the time. Yeah, and then, you know, I was at the time of that video, quick play, you could have multiples of the same characters, and then they patched that out, so that's technically outdated. But like, I didn't know that. I always figured it. I always normally guess it's either Kingdom Hearts or Persona and stuff, but that's refreshing knowing it was Overwatch. I'm glad you found that video helpful.
You did get me into Persona though. Like, I pulled out the Persona 5 for beginners. I was like, I kind of heard about it, one of those things, Shin Megami Tensei Persona. I heard about him as a whole, but I never, you know, ventured to play it, because I was like, it's probably just another JRPG. And I watched the video, and it made me want to buy Persona 5. And I played Persona 5, and then I played Persona 4, and then I played Persona 3. So you got me into Persona, so thanks.
And that makes me happy. Like, that really does, honestly. I'm glad people think I can like actually sell them on things. So that needs to, because that's the whole point. Because like the entire point of the For Beginners at this point is essentially like, I like this thing, and this is why you should like it, and this is how you get into the thing that I like. You know? Right.
And then once again, the memes. So
the memes. Yeah. Oh god, the memes. Trying to keep it fresh. Oof.
And then finding you on Twitch, you know, so I found out you had a Twitch channel through your videos. I was like, oh, okay, let's see how this turns out. I just saw your overblown reaction to getting donations. I'm like, this is fun. I'm getting a kick out of her overreacting, so I'm going to feed on this kick. And that's how I end up being one of, not a big donor, but just a guy that contributes sometimes.
And then he paid my rent.
A tale as old as time. All right, any more questions, comments, concerns?
What is the hardest game you've ever played?
Like, hardest difficulty-wise?
Just hardest in general.
I'd say the hardest game I've ever had to play, without a doubt, Advance Wars Dual Strike for the Nintendo DS.
Oh god, that sounds like it's got like control problems because that sounds like a long title.
It's a strategy game, so you don't got to worry much about controls. It's like Fire Emblem kind of, except with actual like soldiers and stuff like that. But yeah, this game had a deceptive difficulty curve. Like the first few missions in the game, weren't that hard. You just getting your bearings, learning how to control your units and stuff. I think it's the third or fourth level, just the AI just jumps up. Just absolutely just goes everything they have against you, use their resources efficiently, and just, for lack of a better term, beats your butt. Just completely destroys you. And I think what made it hard is you're supposed to grind like in between missions. Like you have the main story mode and you have like this kind of arcade mode where you just play battles over and over again and you can like gain XP from that. I think that's what you were supposed to do. But yeah, it just jumped up in difficulty. I didn't have that difficulty spike in the first 3 or 4 levels or whatever. When I got to that this level, it was on like an island. Nah, the AI was doing me in. I couldn't beat him. And I was finally like, you know what? It's not worth it. And I just stopped playing it. And it's sitting on my shelf right now. I'm looking at it. And I'm not going to pick that game back up because, I don't feel like enduring the pain. I'm just going to wait for one of my friends or one of my kids to ask me, hey, what's this game? I'm like, go ahead and play it. See for yourself. Pass it on to someone else. That's what it is. You pass it on to the next generation.
Let someone else figure it out.
Yeah.
No, I feel that. It's interesting how like game developers can essentially just like make an AI that's so like knows exactly how to like mess you up.
Yeah.
And just like it's interesting how they like when they program like AIs, they have to make them kind of stupid to an extent because they have to like account for people maybe not grasping all the mechanics and stuff, so they have to like program them to mess up sometimes. But I guess in the case it's like nah 4 missions in they can figure it out.
Throw everything they got at them.
Yeah.
Sink or swim mission, I guess. And I definitely sank.
Yeah.
What would be the hardest game you've ever played?
Boy, I guess because I never beat it. Well, I guess the 2 games that I feel like I've just been stuck on recently was Sekiro. I thought that game was much harder than Dark Souls because, it's from Software, the same people. But I got to the final boss of that game, died twice, and I literally just did not want to try it because I got so worn down by how difficult everything else was that I was just like over it. So I technically consider the game beat in my mind because like I saw the final boss, I just don't get to see the end cutscene. I saw the rest of the game.
Wow.
And then JRPG wise, weirdly enough, The Last Remnant I would also put up there as one of the most difficult games I've ever played because I couldn't beat it. The combat of that game seems so kind of randomized almost about like your luck, and a lot of it's just kind of hoping that the AI doesn't screw you over. I got 40 to 50 some hours in that game, got to this boss fight that I just could not get around, and I tried it over and over and over again. And I thought I could outgrind everything because it's a JRPG, you can grind and stuff, but because how that game's combat works, the bosses scale with your level. Yeah, I was like, so what the hell am I supposed to do? At least I think they scale. Like I read somewhere, because apparently other people are having the same problem with the boss fight, and they're like, yo, like what's the strategy? Like, can I grind? They're like, no, I think the boss like scales to your level and stuff, so you have to just like outmaneuver it. I'm like, well, the whole game is like kind of up to it's chance. Like the combat, so it's basically randomized. If your attacks are gonna like hit or anything like that. So there's really not much you can do. So I just gave up. And I haven't touched it since, but apparently it just got ported to Switch again because it got remastered, and I think I might give it a second chance. The Last Remnant I wouldn't particularly say is a very like special game. It's very JRPG TM, and its combat system is a little funky, but yeah, it's hard just because you don't really have direct control over everything.
I'm almost surprised you didn't say Nocturne, because watching your Twitch highlights from that, you had a pretty tough time with it.
It's close, but I've beaten it. So like I consider it,
True.
not that difficult, because I mean, I'd still consider it hard, like if I went back and stuff. But yeah, Nocturne's difficulty, I would say, is dealable just because like it's trial and error. But once you figure out like what the enemy's weak to or what the pattern is, it's like, oh, okay, you just walk this way, blah, 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 blah. But it's still hard. I mean, like you're still going to die a lot. But yeah, Last Remnant is just more difficult because it's really not your fault if you lose. So why? Game? I want to play you, but you won't let me.
No. Yeah, developers can be pretty brutal with the AI sometimes. Yeah, you gotta have some respect for that. You know, when developers just kind of say, you know what, you're an adult, you can figure this out. We're
Figure it
going
out,
full force
yeah.
at you.
Yeah, and Nocturne is good at that. It definitely, when you win, you feel like you did it, you know?
Right.
And that game's got some pretty whack RNG as well. But, you know, for the most part, if you're smart, you can get around it. And if you're prepared, whereas, you know, Last Remnant, it's just like, screw you. This is it. We're doing this now. You literally, how that game works essentially is like you set up your parties like in groups because you have like 20 people in your party. And then when everyone's in position, you just hit go, and then you just wait and see what happens. And then like you really just have the AI at that point to determine if you get killed. So it's like it's pretty crazy.
Okay. All right, Buns. It's been a fun interview. I'm glad you were able to make it out. Before we go, though, is there anything you'd like to say to the MOPETE audience?
For sure. I guess, you know, if you are, you know, if you've been around for a while and stuff and you're invested, and just make it known. Be loud, be proud, support, you know, if you see someone with a lot of potential, and, you know, if you're a smaller creator and stuff, always be out there sending positive vibes and just be as supportive as you can, because you never know who's going to blow up. You never know who's going to make it big. And it's always really nice kind of being like, I was there since the beginning. So, you know, if you are watching and stuff and you want to see more, and if you feel like there's a lot of potential to keep going and get bigger and stuff, just, you know, like, comment, and subscribe. Do the thing, you know?
God, you're embarrassing.
And no, I'm serious and stuff, because it's like, you know, it being a content creator, everyone has to start somewhere, and you will grow, you will learn. And, you know, I definitely cherish the people that originally first supported me. I'm still friends with them, with a lot of my original regulars, and it makes a big difference and stuff. So always, you know, if you see a creator and stuff and you feel like they could definitely go somewhere, you know, it may not be in a year, may not be in 3 years, but at some point, you know, if they keep at it and stuff, just give them support, because it does make a huge difference to get any kind of positive reassurance from people who watch. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is be nice. Be nice. give it that big old thumbs up, guys.
All right, the voice of God said it herself, guys. Subscribe to my channel,
or else is what I'm saying.
All right, let's hear it for SuperButterBuns. A big thank you for her to come out and do this interview. If you like the video, go ahead and like it, like she said. Subscribe, comment about it. Check out my brand new Patreon if you haven't already. Support the cause. You know, we're working towards new equipment. This equipment that I'm working towards now are new ring lights. So when we actually do an interview, not one of these talking interviews, you'll see the difference. But anyway, that's all we have time for. If you like SuperButterBuns' channel, go ahead and check it out. Just type in SuperButterBuns on YouTube. Also, check out my review of her channel. I'm going to do an in-depth review of her channel later this fall, along with the rest of my Disney Channel reviews. So check that out as well. Thank you guys for stopping by. MOPETE out.
Explanation, all I need is admiration, big frustration, bro. He goes like fish, so we gave a shot, but didn't work, honey, cause we had a whole lot going on and on and on.